What is going on, you guys? This is Rex, the Speed Demon, back with another video. And today, we're going to be talking about tires. There's this common misconception about snow tires and studded snow tires in the winter and all seasons. And a lot of people don't know or understand which ones they should get or why. All right? So, the big question, do I need studded snow tires? I'm going to answer that for you. Let's get into it. All right, so today we're going to break a couple things down about these tires. So that way we can give you guys a better understanding about the tires, which ones to choose, why we choose them, and how it can potentially be dangerous if you choose the wrong ones, okay? So, this right here is a snow tire, okay? It's a regular snow tire, and it can be studded. I don't know if you can see these little small holes that are in the tire, but this is where essentially they would put the studs at prior to putting the tire on your vehicle. This right here, yeah, these are used wheels. I had these laying around in my garage. But these right here are all seasons. As you can see, the tread is completely different, okay? There's a huge difference on the boat. These don't have any of the holes that these have. And if you notice, in between, all right, so if you don't know what tread is, it's basically these channels right over here. So snow tires and all season tires, they're gonna have different channels or tread designs on them, and it's for a very good reason. If you notice, on all seasons, they don't excel or do great at anything, but they do decent at everything. They'll get you by. They'll get you by in the summer. They'll get you by in the winter, but they're not perfect at either of them. While snow tires are specifically made for snow, okay? Getting back to some of the differences, if you notice the tread on these, or the channels, are much wider than the channels on these. And the reason for that, the only reason for tread on any tire is to release water. But the reason why the tread on this is a lot wider is because you have slush, you have snow, you have water you have to release. So these channels have to be a lot wider. And as the snow comes in the middle of the tire, it kind of has these channels to kind of blast and wash it toward the outsides of the tire. So that way the inside of the tire can make contact with the ground. All right. While all seasons, they're not going to be as good at doing that. And that's why, you know, some people get all seasons and they might feel like, okay, these suck. They're not going to do great in a snowstorm, okay? I mean, they'll get you by, but if you get inside of some deep snow, these things aren't going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? They're not built to move lots of water. They're not built to, you know, move snow. They're built to kind of make contact with the road and kind of get you to where you need to be. The tread on it, as you can see, isn't so good. Those are the wear bars. So, you know, these are pretty used as of right now. But, I mean, if you look at them, it's a totally, completely different tread pattern. And if you notice, in between the tread on here, they don't have like those little squigglies. But on here, as you can see, these little squigglies, these things, I don't know what they call them, so I'm going to call them a squiggly. But these things is so as the tire is moving, it's able to grab the snow and move it out of the way of the tire. So everything on this tire basically it's purposed for the snow. It has the channels like we mentioned before. If you choose not to, you can put the studs in them. And then also it's got these squiggly things. So as it's moving, it could kind of grab the snow and give you some more traction. Okay. These over here, all seasons, like I said, they don't really excel at anything. They're good enough to get you by, just like the name implies, all seasons. You know what I mean? They make them good enough to kind of, move water out of the way, during spring and, when it rains. These are decent in the summer, but they're not rated for racing or anything like that. These aren't going to be a good performance tire. And when it comes to snow, like I mentioned before, these aren't going to be great for the snow either. But they get you by perfectly fine. Okay, now to answer the big question. Should you or should you not get studs inside of your snow tires? So in order to answer that, let me give you a little bit of facts about both. And this is important because this is the part that could potentially cause you to crash and burn. Okay? A lot of people think, and there's a huge misconception that people think that they need to get studs or studded snow tires, which is not the case, especially if you live in the Northeast and you're nowhere around ice. Studs are specifically made to grip onto ice. They're little metal things that poke out of your tire, and they're made so that way when you do get on ice, you have traction. Okay? This is rubber. Rubber is made to grip asphalt, concrete, what you drive on a daily basis. All right? So by putting studs inside of your tire, what you're doing is you're creating a barrier between the rubber on the tire and the concrete, which causes less contact between the two, which in turn gives you less traction. And without traction, we all know what happens. Another thing studs do is it increases your braking distance. So it's going to take you a lot longer to stop that vehicle. So another thing that happens, basically, when you're rolling around with the studs and there is no snow on the ground, you're essentially poking holes inside of the cement. And in the winter, when there's no snow, there's no ice for the studs to grab onto and to create that protective barrier between the cement and the tires, what essentially happens is you're poking holes into the cement, okay? And those holes, then they fill with water. And in the winter, that water turns into ice. And what happens with ice, it expands, okay? So what you're doing is you're jacking up the streets for everybody else who has to roll on the streets. When you're rolling down the roads and there's potholes in your town, or, you know what I mean, the roads are kind of ripped up and they got to pave them every damn winter because people are driving around on them. That's another thing it does. Oops, that just dropped. That's all right. We're not using that anyways. And who likes a quiet ride? Because I know I do. Don't nobody like driving around in the car when the car is just loud, it's making random noises. When you hear them random noises, it's probably all of that ticking from, the tire rotating. There's no snow on the ground and all you hear is tick, 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 tick. They cause road noise. All right? So that's another downfall of having the studded snow tires. And last but not least, they are illegal in some states. A lot of states have regulations where they only allow you to use studded snow tires between a certain time period of the winter, okay? Other states, they don't allow you to use them at all, especially if you're not an emergency vehicle. So you want to look up your state laws and see whether if they do or don't allow you to use them. Because don't nobody got time to pay no damn tickets. You feel me? But yeah, there's so many things that putting studs in your tire can cause. And when you don't have traction or whatever with the road, obviously you're going to lose control. So once again, you know, putting studs in your tires if you don't have ice where you are. And I'm not talking about black ice that you get, you know, where there's little very small patches here and there. I mean, like, studs are meant to grip just ice, not the road. All right. So essentially what you're doing, you're just causing yourself less traction than, you know, and in the winter, you want as much traction as you can possibly get. All right. Another major difference between the two is going to be the compound. Okay. All tires do not have the same compound. What is compound? Plain and simple, tire compound is the blend of materials used to create the tire itself. Harder compounds usually get better fuel economy because they have less resistance, while softer compounds, they get worse fuel economy because they have more resistance. I'll do a whole nother video on tire compound and all that other stuff later. But getting back to it, compound is basically, let me put it in English for you. So, oops, fell again. So you remember back in school when you had erasers? I'm pretty sure we all went through this because we all went to hopefully we all went to school. But do you remember when you had like erasers, and the eraser on one pencil would be really soft and it would do a really good job at erasing pencil, and then there would be another pencil that was a totally different pencil, totally different brand, and the eraser was like really hard, and then when you tried to erase with it, it kind of just smudged everything all over the place or ripped the paper. Okay, so those are two different types of rubber compounds. All right, one's softer, one's harder. Well, it's going to be the same thing with the tires. When it comes to tires, they have different rubber compounds on it. One compound, which is on the snow tire usually, is going to be a lot softer than the compound on an all-season tire. All right, so the softer compound on winter tires, it helps it maintain grip on wet, slippery roads. But the thing about soft compound is they wear a lot faster than the tires with harder compound. So this is why we don't really drive when it's not snowing with snow tires. Going back to that hard eraser, soft eraser comparison I gave you earlier to kind of explain the compound, the softy eraser, obviously, since it's softer, you're going to use that up a lot faster versus the hardy eraser. It's a harder compound, so, you know, it's just going to slide along the paper, messing up the shit, and it's not going to really be used up pretty quick or as quick as the softer compound. And this is why people usually take them off, you know, as soon as the winter's over or whenever it's not snowing, instead of drive around with them. Well, at least the people who want to save money. All right, so we covered a lot today. We covered the studded tires, we covered snow tires, we covered all season tires, we covered why and why not buy them, if whether or not you should get them. We covered what happens if you do get them, the pros and the cons, and hopefully you're better informed about driving with them, and hopefully more considerate about the people around you who have to drive on these roads as well. And hopefully this video was informational. I'm going to be making more videos about tires because there's a whole lot of stuff about tires that people don't know, as in the stuff on the sidewall. It could be a foreign language to people. But yeah, I'll be doing a video on all of that very soon. Hopefully. It's getting cold outside, and me in the winter, we don't really get along. So hopefully you guys like, subscribe, and share this video. Hopefully we can spread more awareness about, you know, the hazards and non-hazards of driving with studded snow tires. But until next time, you guys, peace.